This video is going to be about flashlights. What I consider two of the most essential pieces of my EDC, when I really boil it down, I mean, I can lay everything out on the table, and there's a multitude of things I carry, but the two things that go with me to bed, the two things that go with me wherever I go, are my Glock 26 and the flashlight of my choice. I have ran the gamut with handguns as far as looking for handguns to be what would be the best carry gun. And you know what it's come down to is that there's very few things out there that really are up to snuff. And what I'm talking about is something that's absolutely military proven grade. Glocks fall into that category. Maybe for you, SIGs fall into that category. Your Kel-Tecs, your Rugers, your cars, you know, and I've had all these things before. They're not up to snuff. When I've got to buy a handgun for car, for example, and the instruction tells me that I have to put 200 to 300 rounds through the weapon before it's properly broke in and suitable for carry, my question would be, well, why, if if Glock can fire reliably right out of the box, then why can't they? So there's a problem there. Is it design, manufacturing process? I don't know. They're just not up there. So you all know where I stand with that. So I'm gonna what I have not done in the past, and it's finally dawned on me over this last couple months, is I haven't taken that same approach with flashlights. I have always been an advocate of buy the best there is, the best you can afford, and buy it once. Because if you buy something that's inferior, hoping that it's going to work for you, more times than not, you end up being disappointed, and then you end up buying what you want anyway. And that's been my case with the flashlights. I have had so many flashlights, primarily from Streamlight, Fenix, and 4.7s. And I don't have these flashlights here to show you because I've given most of them away. A lot of people that I run into just are not aware of new flashlight technologies, and I showed them a flashlight or something needs to happen, and I pull it out and I have one, and they're just so impressed by it. You know, they're still back in the Maglite days that I end up giving it to them. So I've given away a ton of flashlights. But what I've found with flashlights is, especially let's start with the Fenix. I've had lots and lots of Fenix, and they have not been real durable lights for me. I've had a lot of problems with O-rings, switches, burning out, denting, breaking, and I think I have a tendency to really beat up and abuse equipment. So the Fenix lights have not worked out. So what it seemed to me that the 4.7's lights were maybe a step above, and I've had probably a dozen, if not 15, 16 of those, and I have not found those to be overly durable, up to snuff, and I have not really liked the interface. I just have not been able to find the perfect combination of military spec durability that I can really depend on, and an interface and usability along with the build quality that I really like. What I'm looking for is the Glock 1926 flashlights. And I just have not been able to find that with the Fenix or the 4.7's. So I've always looked at the Streamlights, and I just really didn't think there was that much of a difference in the lights. I would look at them and I'd think, oh, the lumen counts are lower. You know, why would I buy a Surefire flashlight when I can buy a 4.7's or a Fenix flashlight for half the price? And I don't know what I think I watched too many Nut and Fancy videos, and I just you know, he's covered so many of those lights, and I just had in my mind that was as good as it gets, and so I really didn't give Surefire a real look. But the more I thought about it, the more disappointed I've been with flashlights. I started looking at the Surefires. So looking around and going on the forums, I did a ton of research, and I ended up purchasing this one. This is a relatively new flashlight in their lineup. It's the LX2 Lumamax. And I started seeing it show up in some gun classes, some guys that were really experienced. I noticed that these guys, they were carrying it for EDC, and so I decided to take a look at it. And I'll tell you what, after having this and carrying this now for a month in EDC, it is the most fantastic flashlight for so many reasons that I've ever had. I'm not going to do a long review and go over a lot of details with this. That's not the guy I am. If you want that, you can go to Candle Power forums and you can geek out over there. I'm just going to have a conversation about what my experience is with a light and why I think this is the perfect flashlight for EDC. For someone who is serious about having durable mil-spec equipment, something you can really count on. Because I look at these two things as being essential. And I don't even put the pocket knife in the category with these two. I know that because these are the two that never leave my person. And I think about recent events, the shooting that we had at the Batman, the opening of the Batman movie. To have something like this combination right here, and someone that's has the courage and the bravery and the training to properly handle himself, how would that intervention have taken place? Or if we look at remember the bombings, there were the subway bombings, or the attack in Japan, I believe it was. People were running around trying to use their cell phones, which are not, as we know, not very effective flashlights. You know, what would the value of something like this be? And if I'm going to carry something, I want it to work. You know, that's why I've decided on this, because they're just, as I said, stone cold reliable. I'm not going to get into that. Glock speaks for itself. Let's talk about the flashlight. So I'm going to talk about the genesis of what brought me to making this purchase, because this is an expensive light. It's a big investment. But I think that this 1-2 combination right here is where the money needs to be spent. I'd rather shave and skimp on a lot of other things before these two right here. So in looking at this, I was really concerned about the size. I kind of was getting in the mindset of the really small lights. I was carrying some of the small 4.7s, the little the minis, but I didn't like the interface. I don't like that twisty bezel. Because I want to be able to grab this with one hand and activate it. So this appeals to me. So I kind of knew that I wanted that, and I've not been able to find a really good pocket clip carry. I've carried for a long time flashlights on the belt, but I'm just finding I'm with the gun and the extra magazine, I cannot support a third item on my belt. It's just too much. So the light that I would end up with needs to have a really good pocket clip, and it needs to be carrying on the opposite side of my knife. So I consider this, if I can carry an EDC knife in my right pocket, I should be able to carry the flashlight in the left. I think that's a good way to set it up. So it's got to have it's got to carry deep, it's got to have a really good strong clip that I'm not going to lose it. Some of the clips, I think the clip design on modern flashlights is really, really lagging. And this is the first one that actually works really well. It's really, I'm going to show you something that really blew me away. I'm really impressed with it's such a simple thing, but it works so well. So as you're carrying this flashlight right here, as you can see, this slips into your pant pocket there, and you have just a small bit protruding out there. But what's really clever about this, as I found, is if you're wearing a baseball hat or a cowboy hat, you can also reverse, that clip reverses, and you can use this as a makeshift headlamp, which, you know, is really, really handy. How many times have you held your flashlight in your teeth, you know, while you're trying to do a job? You know, and that's not a good way to do it. It's this is brilliant. I think that's fantastic. I guess I saw in the instructions it said that the clip was reversible, and I don't know if they just mean it's reversible, that you could carry it head up by pocketing it this way or this way. I think that's all it meant. I don't see any way that you could flip the clip around. That's important. It seems like maybe a small thing, but I don't think it is. If the flashlight is difficult to carry, or like a lot of the smaller flashlights, you have these little short clips, you're going to lose the flashlight. Whenever you pick something out, it's going to lift the flashlight out. This flashlight, I have not noticed that. And you guys watch my videos, you see how I work, and I do a lot of lifting and up and down. If anybody was going to knock a flashlight out of their pocket, it would be me. And I've never had it lift or had any issues with it. And I think it's a combination of having this nice big head on here, as well as a really nicely designed deep pocket clip. And I'm going to talk a lot about this because it's so critical. Because if the light is not comfortable to carry, You know, just like guns and holsters, we're going to leave at home. And this is something we don't want to leave home. I think we should look at these two things, these two pieces of equipment here, as having a symbiotic relationship, not to be separated ever. So the clip's important. The next thing that has really, really impressed me, and I didn't realize this when I bought it or read about it. I read about the interface, but I didn't know. I thought, well, yeah, it sounds reasonable. They all sound reasonable when you read about them, but when you start living with them, that's when they really come into play. I think this has the perfect interface, and here's how it works. You have a button on the back. This is a traditional tactical flashlight here, and how the interface is it's got two modes. We have a 35 mode, 35 lumens, and if you press it a little bit harder, you get a 200. It's 200 out the front. The reason why this is so brilliant is that this 35, I thought, oh, that would be a nice lumen, or a nice brightness for looking at things, you know, reading with her. But what I found is that this 35 is brighter than any of the old traditional flashlights that most of us are used to, and the battery runs so long on that. I think it says 30 hours. That just using that is what I use almost all the time. I find the 200 spot is so bright, I get so much reflection off of things that I don't use it. It hurts my eyes at night. And the 35 is nice. But man, how nice is it to be, if I need that extra horsepower, just so quickly, no clicking or anything, just push that and I've got the 200. And the reflector is smooth, so it's really a good thrower light, and that's what I want. You know, I'm not out looking for worms, night crawlers in the yard. If I hear something go bump in the night, or the dog's barking, or something is out in the barn, I want to be able to see it from as far away as possible. So I like that smooth reflector, and I like the throw on it. The next way this thing interfaces, so if I don't want to sit there and continually hold this, you simply turn the bezel, and it'll stay on the 35, and turn it a little further, and it'll stay on the 200. So that is a brilliant interface. It's just simple, it's clean, and it's got the two modes. I have no interest for my tactical light to have flashies, to have SOSs. All of that stuff is confusing, and the more flashlights you get, you forget how to use them, and if you don't follow the sequence right, pretty soon the thing's flashing. I don't want that. I don't want to deal with that. If I wanted all that complication, I'd carry around a stupid handgun with a safety or grip safety or all that nonsense. You know, that's why I consider this to be the Glock of flashlights, because it is so basic. Low, high. Low, high, low, high. That's all there is to it. How great of an interface is that? And I don't think you can really fully appreciate how well it works, how well it is just to live with and use until you actually have one and carry one. So those two right things have really sold me. And I'm not even talking about the build and the durability of this thing that we can cover next. So the clip is a home run. The interface is the best on any flashlight I've ever used, and I've used a lot. Let's go to the lanyard ring. It came with kind of, well, I consider it to be phony, kind of a goofy lanyard ring. I would never use a lanyard ring, personally. I'm sure there's a use for them, it's just not for me. But what it was is a two-piece plastic clip that has a loop in it. It comes with a pretty nice lanyard, but it rotates around, so whenever you grab the flashlight, it's always moving and around. It was extremely annoying, and it's made to remove, so I just took it off. So problem solved there. Build. Boy, the build on this flashlight's expensive, and I think a lot of the reason is because there's so much machining on here. It's not knurled. And I was wondering, is it going to be a little bit slippery? But it's just the anodizing on there is such a cut above anything I've seen on my other flashlights. It really looks cool. It's kind of this muddy green. When you think of military, you think of this color. And it has so much intricate machining on it and so many edges, but all these facets in combination with the anodizing make the thing really easy to hold on to and not slippery. I've yet to drop this and I like it. It's a little bit busy for me. I kind of like maybe a little bit cleaner, more of a classic look than all of this. But I do appreciate the craftsmanship that goes into it. It's really, really first rate. I do like the look of it. One other thing I notice on this is just the durability of the thing. It's just built like a tank, and it's I don't consider it to be too heavy. I was having a hard time really getting an idea of what size this was, and I was concerned it was going to be too big, because I've been carrying small lights and I hemmed and hawed, and I hadn't seen one in person. But just to kind of give you some scale, here's a Sharpie. I think we all know the size of a Sharpie, to kind of give you an idea what the scale is of the light. I think because of its tank-like construction, it gives it, when you look at it on pictures or ads, it gives it maybe it seems that it's bigger than it actually is. But you can see right there the Sharpie, and then here's like here's a Leatherman Wave. You know, a Leatherman Wave is pretty short, so it's really not that big of a flashlight. The large emitter head gives it a little bit of a bulky look, but I found that it carries so well. I don't think about it. You just carry it in your left pocket. The pocket clip is so perfect that it mitigates the size of it. So I don't know about waterproofness and all of that. Alright, the battery died, so I'll join the clips here. I don't remember where I was at. Something about if it's good, you know, I know it when I see it. And this is a top-notch flashlight. So, you know, this is just the way I look at this. Let's talk about price for a minute. So, on the website, I think they say they list for $200, $210, which I thought was insane. So I went to eBay. Bought this one on eBay from a reputable seller. $125 shipped. I had it in 48 hours, and I think that it's worth. I'd pay $200 for it. If I lose this and I couldn't get a deal on it, I wouldn't hesitate. I'd buy another one, even if I had to save for it, because it's such a perfect flashlight. You know, this is such an essential piece of equipment, guys. You really need to take a couple things seriously. If you're going to make the decision to be concealed carry, depend on something for your life, you know, go with something that, spend your money on these two things. You know, sell a couple pocket knives. You know, I would rather walk around with a Buck Vantage and have military specification. The cat scratching on the window, sorry. Mil-spec military grade equipment like a Glock and the Surefire flashlight, and skimp someplace else, because this is not where I want to skimp. But man, what a fantastic! It's just really, it just hits everything. I don't know what else there is to cover. The clip is good. The interface is fantastic. The build speaks for itself. But I think right here is, as of 2012, I think right here is probably, this is the best EDC light that I've ever seen. I think the size of it is ideal. It could be used, you know, a bit of a strike bezel on there. It could be used as a weapon light. But for me, I think it's just perfect for pocket carry. And don't be daunted by the size, even if you're carrying a smaller flashlight. I don't know if I want a small flashlight. I don't think I want anything smaller than this. The smaller flashlights are difficult to hold on to. Oftentimes the interface on them is, you got that twisty bezel. It takes two hands. You can't get to it quickly. The other nice thing about this is it's never going to go off in your pocket. Even if this does get pushed, you know, chances are it's not going to stay pushed as long as you keep the bezel rotated. But man, I'm digging it. I'm really digging it. It's just a joy to hold and to look at and to fondle. It's just a beautiful piece of work, craftsmanship. So good job on that, Surefire. So this is my take on it. So let me know what you think, or if you have one. Post your video. We can post. I'll let you attach it to the site, but you have my permission to make. You can have my permission to justify whatever it takes to get one of these to add to your. Hopefully, you're carrying a Glock, and that's a good combination there, isn't it? All right, we'll see you on the next one.